At the birth of film, the only option for spectator fulfillment was cinema, the experience of going to a theater, the rustling of popcorn, the eager chatter as the previews played. Now our generation has become accustomed to the ease of having access to any film we wish to view at the touch of our fingertips, essentially since late childhood, when the dawn of the internet made finding any desired film a very quick process. Gone are the days of waiting after a film leaves cinema to buy the VHS. Now, within the Netflix era and the online streaming takeover, almost any film imaginable is accessible online. But is the viewing experience comparable? In the words of David Lynch.
Now, if you're playing the movie on a telephone, you will never in a trillion years experience the film. You'll think you have experienced it, but you'll be cheated. It's such a sadness that you think you've seen a film on your fucking telephone. Get real.
The problem extends beyond our current generation's limited viewing space for good cinema. The fault is not only placed on us for the way in which we view films, but on a larger scale, the Hollywood manufacturing machine that believes the best way to meet their target projection of revenue is to produce films with a built-in audience. The best way to ensure this built-in audience is by working off of previous material, whether adapting a best-selling novel, a comic book, or remaking a film, or just adding multiple unnecessary sequels. The problem is gradually getting worse. Of the top-grossing films of 1981, 7 of them were originally written features. Compare that to 2011, of which 0 were originally written features, and in 2015, only 1 was a newly penned screenplay, the Disney Pixar film Inside Out. Now Magazine has collaborated with the Royal Cinema to put on a free monthly flick in Toronto. Once a month, they bring back a film for a single free showing, and the public response has been enormous. When they put on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World in January, over 2,000 people showed interest in going, and 800 RSVP'd as attendees. This is more than double the theater's capacity. Evidently, there is a large basis of film enthusiasts in Toronto who are eager to see their favorite classics in the form they were intended to be viewed in, the movie theater. So I took to the streets of Toronto and got some feedback of what Torontonian film fans of varying degrees want to see.
The original Evil Dead.
The first is Dirty Dancing because I think everybody is required viewing for all humans.
Come here, lover boy.
And if he doesn't answer?
Oh, lover boy.
I feel like so many horror movies that I've watched now that I didn't get to watch in theaters when I was little would be really cool.
Yeah. Oh, that would be cool.
You know?
I feel like I want to say Moulin Rouge.
A kiss on the hand. We are continental, but diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Jaws.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You can go slow ahead. Come on down and chum some of this shit.
I would love to see Oklahoma.
Oklahoma?
Yeah.
I got a beautiful feeling, everything's going my way.
I sat down with Norm Wilner, the senior film writer for Now Magazine, to discuss the magazine's role in Toronto and their involvement with the monthly free features.
I'm Norm Wilner. I'm the senior film writer for Now Magazine. I also have a podcast called Someone Else's Movie, where I interview an actor, writer, director about a movie that they love but that they didn't make. Well, I mean, you know, we're the green boxes. We're everywhere. If you're downtown, you'll probably bang your knee on the box at some point. We're Toronto's, well, how can I put it? We're Toronto's premier alternate arts weekly because there isn't any other. Well, I think you can fairly say at this point that there's nothing else like us. We've established over more than 3 decades now. I've been working for the paper for 8 years. But over 3 decades, the paper has established an identity as an alternative voice in Toronto's political scene and arts community, film, theater, comedy, music. We're kind of hopefully we're the paper of first resort. We're the one people come to for informed, independent, and intelligent commentary on that. We launched the Free Flicks series back in, I want to say May, about a year ago.
So this is pretty recent.
Yeah.
Where I only saw the first in October, I think, when the screen.
Oh, the screen screening, yeah. I want to say the first one we did was, no, the second one we did was Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think the first one was, maybe it was Raiders, but it's been a year, about a year. I'm sure I can look that up for you. I can find it. I know that now they're very engaged in the community. We sponsor shows, we sponsor film screenings. I've introduced a few movies before at various things on behalf of Now. But in this case, we wanted to actually be involved. We wanted to work with the programming, and we wanted to work with community awareness and get people into movie theaters for just a fun thing that we could do.
Yeah, it's kind of like reinvigorating the sense of just going to a good movie.
Yeah, and I spend every week telling people to get out of their houses and watch something. And now I can actually point them to a specific thing where, we're pretty sure this is going to be great because this is a movie that we've seen and we love. Come and see it with us. Come out. And it's been really bizarre. Like, the worst weather is the thing that makes people pack into theaters. Like that Scott Pilgrim screening and The Silence of the Lambs, too, the coldest nights of this winter in January and February. And we turned people away. And we felt terrible about it. There were people lined up.
Just sneak in to get
Oh, it was awful. It was awful. I think there were 60 people turned away from Scott Pilgrim. And it was, some of them had been there for an hour or two. Yeah, I felt very bad. And to have grown, I saw it in a theater the first time when I was a kid and a bunch of other times, and to think of somebody who was in their 20s and had never seen it in a theater before, and to be able to experience it like that, that's great. But then to find out that there were a handful of people in there who'd actually managed never to see it before, and that went on for a bit in the introduction. It's like, what do you mean?
You've never seen this?
Yeah, and a few of them had seen the other ones, which was even stranger.
The later ones?
Yeah, or even like Temple of Doom. So there were 3 people, I think, who hadn't seen it at all, and we narrowed it down. And you don't want to shame them, because that's the first thought is I'm going to get yelled at for not having seen this 35-year-old movie. It's 35 years old. It's okay if you didn't see it, but now you get to see it in the best possible way, with a room full of people who love it, and it looks great, and it sounds good, and you can be there in the moment. And I'm really envious of that. I mean, when was the last time you walked into a film cold and just got blindsided by how great it was? I knew that was going to happen for these people. A lot of people love it on Facebook. That's basically the extent of it is that I introduce the film, and inevitably I have yet to be able to stay. I introduce the movie, and everybody loves it, and I run away, and then I start seeing feedback on Twitter 2 hours later about how great it was and how much fun people had. And sometimes, not all the films are fun movies. We're programming more in that direction. We're trying to skew towards a sense of a community party rather than, hey, we're all going to watch Sophie's Choice. But Silence of the Lambs, it's not an up film. It kind of is at the end, but it's a horror movie that plays in a theater unlike any home video experience. I mean, you can be in the dark with a projector in total silence watching that, and it won't play the same way it does when other people's energy is bouncing off of you. We're, I would say, 70-30 right now between what will play with a crowd and what we want to show. So far, nothing's been shot down. A couple of things have been unavailable. That's different when the rights the prints just aren't in any state. There are a lot of films out there that haven't been brought into digital. So, lots, thousands probably. But of the ones we've been chasing, 2 or 3 haven't existed in a decent print. We've come close. I think this year we'll probably be able to get Buckaroo Banzai, but last year we tried and we just couldn't pull it together. There was no print source available to us. We have tried to, what was the other one? There was something else that was shot down. It wasn't shot down, but it was unavailable to us. We've tried to arrange a few previews as well. A couple of the screenings have been advances of films that hadn't yet opened. So that was a different experience that we were offering people. We did Me and Earl and the Dying Girl back in June. I was out of town, I couldn't introduce that one. And then in August, in July we screened Big Game, with Sam Jackson and a Finnish child, sort of a Die Hard in Finland movie. It's really fun and very, very silly. But that was a great opportunity to get it in front of people and then maybe start some word of mouth building that might otherwise not have happened until the film opened. So it gives a few days head start. I mean, it was a pretty small release. I think it played at the Lightbox and it landed on VOD at the same time. But it was a nice way to get that film screened and show it. Yeah, but also to just get people aware of it, because it's, in the middle of July or whenever we screened it, you've got literally dozens of films competing for people's attention, and it would just, that one, I guarantee you, would have fallen right through the cracks because it looks like a straight-to-video pitch when you see it, but it's a lot of fun.
Based upon the current influx of interest in viewership for revival shows, specifically in big cities, my recommendation would be to Toronto theaters to bring back revival shows for a potential monthly showing at a reduced fare. If significant interest could be garnered, perhaps in future years, this collective interest in a renewal of classic films, rather than rebooting them with little respect to their origins, would eventually reach the larger studios in charge of producing and distributing newer films, and would encourage studios to promote original stories. A return to innovative, fresh ideas in store for Hollywood, but only if we fight for it.